Jainism and Buddhism are two important religious traditions that emerged in India around the 6th century BCE. Both religions opposed Brahmanical orthodoxy, emphasized non-violence, ahimsa, and rejected the authority of the Vedas. However, Jainism follows the teachings of Mahavira, emphasizing extreme asceticism and self-discipline, while Buddhism, founded by Gautama Buddha, focuses on the middle path, meditation, and liberation from suffering, nirvana. Key terms and meanings. Ajivika, a heterodox sect similar to Jainism, which thrived during the Buddha's time. It believed in determinism and fate. Bodhisattva, a person who delays their own enlightenment to help others attain nirvana. Chaitya, a Buddhist prayer hall or shrine, often containing a stupa. Dhammachakra Pravartana, the first sermon of Buddha at Sarnath, meaning turning of the wheel of law. Hinayana, literally lesser vehicle, an early form of Buddhism that adheres strictly to Buddha's original teachings. Stupa, a dome-shaped structure housing Buddhist relics, used as a place of meditation. Upasakas, lay followers of Buddhism who worship and support the monastic community. Theravada, a Buddhist sect that follows the original teachings of Buddha, also called the doctrine of the elders. It is prevalent in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, and Cambodia. Mahavira, Jina, Jitendriya, titles for Mahavira, the 24th Jain Tirthankara, meaning one who has conquered his senses and attained spiritual victory. Nigrantha, a term used in Jainism meaning free from all bonds, referring to those who renounce worldly attachments. Kaivalya, the highest spiritual knowledge in Jainism, signifying ultimate liberation, moksha, and freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Digambara, a Jain sect that believes renouncing even clothing is necessary to attain moksha, signifying complete detachment from material possessions. The Vedic period, 1500 to 600 BCE, was marked by the migration and settlement of Indo-Aryans in India. It is divided into the early Vedic, 1500 to 1000 BCE, and later Vedic, 1000 to 600 BCE, periods. Society was organized into tribes, and governance was based on assemblies and kingship. Religious life revolved around rituals, hymns, Vedas, and sacrifices. Key terms and meanings. Rajan, Gopatajanasya or Janasaya Gopa, the king, considered the protector of the people and their cattle. Gramani, the head of the village, responsible for administration and local disputes. Kula, a clan or extended family, forming the basic unit of society. Kulapa, also called Dampati, the head of the family, responsible for managing household affairs. Senani, the commander of the army, assisting the king in warfare. Vrajapati, an officer in charge of pastoral lands, overseeing cattle and agriculture. Jivagriba and Ugra, police officers responsible for maintaining law and order. Sparsa, a spy who gathered intelligence for the king. Vedanta, an assembly that performed secular, religious, and military functions. Sabha, a small assembly that performed judicial functions and was composed of elders. Sabhavati, women who participated in the Sabha assembly. Samiti, a folk assembly where tribal members gathered to discuss and decide on important matters. Madhyamasi, a mediator in disputes, ensuring justice and settlement. Bagaduga, the tax collector who collected the king's share of produce and wealth. Sangrahitri, the treasurer responsible for managing the king's wealth and resources. Mahishi, the chief queen, often playing a significant role in royal rituals and governance. Suta, the charioteer, also known for reciting heroic tales and genealogies of kings. Palagala, the royal messenger who conveyed important messages within the kingdom. Akshvapa, the accountant, responsible for maintaining financial records and economic affairs. Kshata, the keeper of the king's household, managing the palace and its affairs. Aranyakas, Vedic texts composed by hermits, forming the transition between the Brahmanas and the Upanishads. They focus on rituals and meditative practices. Upanishads, philosophical texts included in Vedic literature, dealing with metaphysical concepts like Atman, soul, and Brahman, ultimate reality. Varna, the fourfold division of Hindu society into Brahmins, priests, Kshatriyas, warriors, Vaishyas, traders, and Shudras, laborious. Brahmanas, a collection of ancient prose texts explaining Vedic rituals, ceremonies, and sacrifices. They provide guidance on conducting yajnas, sacrificial rites. The Mauryan Empire, founded by Chandragupta Maurya, was the first pan-Indian empire, reaching its peak under Ashoka. It had a highly organized administration based on Arthashastra by Kautilya, Chanakya, and Ashokan edicts. The empire had an efficient revenue system, well-structured bureaucracy, and a strong military. Key terms and meanings: Sanadatta, the treasurer and keeper of stores, responsible for revenue collection and overseeing income and expenditure. He supervised the Akshapataladhyaksha, accountant general. Samharta, the chief revenue officer, responsible for collecting taxes in both cash and kind. Assisted by Bagadhak, collector of the king's share. Amatya, high-ranking administrative officers or civil servants who manage judicial, military, and revenue functions. They formed a skilled secretariat divided into different departments. Rajuka, officials appointed by Ashoka with powers to reward and punish people. They were responsible for rural administration, justice, and welfare. Adhyaksha, officials who manage different departments of governance. Kautilya's Arthashastra lists about 27 types of adhyakshas, each overseeing specific administrative duties. Akshapataladhyaksha, the accountant general, in charge of maintaining financial records, currency, and accounts for the empire. Satadhyaksha, superintendent of agriculture, responsible for overseeing farming activities, irrigation, and land management. Akaradhyaksha, superintendent of mining, in charge of mineral extraction, mining operations, and ensuring the revenue from mines. Navadhyaksha, superintendent of ports, managing trade, shipbuilding, and naval affairs, ensuring smooth functioning of ports. Panyadhyaksha, supervisor of commerce, regulating trade, pricing, and ensuring fair business practices. Samshadhyaksha, supervisor of markets, responsible for market regulations, maintaining quality, and controlling the availability of goods. Sulkadhyaksha, collector of customs and tolls, in charge of taxation on imports, exports, and trade routes. Suradhyaksha, superintendent of excise, regulating the production, sale, and taxation of liquor. Portavadhyaksha, superintendent of weights and measures, ensuring standardization in trade transactions. Lakshanadhyaksha, superintendent of the mint, overseeing the production and regulation of currency. Lavananayadhyaksha, salt superintendent, controlling the manufacture and trade of salt, which was a state monopoly. Pradesika, principal police officers responsible for investigating crimes within their jurisdiction. Gopa, accountant for a group of 5 to 10 villages, managing administrative and revenue records at an intermediate level between the district and village. Sthanika, tax collector who worked directly under the Pradesika to ensure efficient tax collection. Rajukas, officials responsible for surveying and assessing land for revenue and agricultural purposes. Yuktas, subordinate revenue officers assisting in financial and administrative matters. Ayakta, a general title for an officer in the Mauryan administration, involved in various duties. Dharmasthas, courts dealing with civil disputes, ensuring justice in legal matters. Kantakasodanas, courts handling criminal cases, responsible for maintaining law and order. Sanghas and Srenis, merchant guilds and trade associations that regulated business and commerce. Mantra Parishadadhyaksha, head of the Council of Ministers, advising the king on governance. Prashasti, prison head, in charge of managing jails and prisoners. Senapati, commander-in-chief of the Mauryan military forces. Padadhyaksha, chief of the infantry, responsible for foot soldiers in the army. Asvadhyaksha, commander of the cavalry, managing the horse-mounted troops. Hastyadhyaksha, commander of the elephant force, overseeing war elephants used in battles. Ratakas, hired troops or mercenary soldiers employed for military service. Atavivala, troops supplied by forest tribes, often skilled in guerrilla warfare. Malla, hereditary troops who served in the army as a tradition passed through generations. Gurda Purushas, secret agents or spies working in the Mauryan espionage department, classified as stationary, Samsthan, spies and wandering, Sanchari, spies, under the control of Mahamatayapasapa, chief of intelligence. The Satavahana Empire, 1st century BCE, 3rd century CE. The Satavahana Empire was a powerful dynasty that ruled in the Deccan region of India. They acted as a bridge between North and South India, promoting trade, Buddhism, and administration based on local governance. Their rule was known for its feudatory system, strong military organization, and patronage of art and architecture. Key terms and meanings: Raja, Mahabhoja, and Maharati or Senapati, 3 grades of feudatories, vassal rulers, who governed different territories under Satavahana rule. Ahara, administrative districts within the empire. Amitya, the ruler or governor of each Ahara district, responsible for administration and revenue collection. Gandhika, traders and merchants dealing in perfumes and aromatic goods. Uparikshita, officials responsible for building caves for monks, often associated with Buddhist monastic settlements. Kataka and Skandhavaras, military camps and settlements, which also served as administrative centers. Gaulmika, administrator of rural areas who was also the commander of a military unit consisting of 9 chariots, 9 elephants, 25 horses, 45 foot soldiers. This structure reflects the Satavahana's decentralized administration and strong military organization. The Gupta period, c. 319 to 550 CE, the Gupta Empire is known as the Golden Age of India, marked by advancements in science, literature, arts, and administration. The empire had a well-organized governance system, a strong military, and a prosperous economy based on trade and agriculture. The administrative structure was highly decentralized, with local rulers and officers managing different regions. Key terms and meanings: Mahabhaladhikrita, Commander-in-Chief of the Gupta military forces. Mahadan Nayaka, Chief Justice, responsible for legal and judicial matters. Mahapratihar, Head of Royal Palace Maintenance, managing security and services of the king's residence. Mahasandhivigrahika or Sandhivigrahika, Minister of War and Peace, responsible for diplomatic affairs, treaties, and military strategy. Dan Pashika, Head of Police Department, maintaining law and order. Badigaradhikreta, Head of the Royal Treasury, overseeing state finances and wealth. Vinayasthitisanstapaka, Head of the Education Department, managing learning institutions and policies. Sarvajyaksha, Inspector of all central departments, supervising various administrative functions. Mahashwapati, Commander of the Cavalry, responsible for managing horse-mounted troops. Mahamahipalapati, Commander of the Elephant Force, controlling and deploying war elephants. Vinayapura, official responsible for welcoming guests and presenting them to the king's court. Yuktapurusha, officer in charge of war booty accounts, recording valuables and spoils of war. Kardyapakika, Inspector of the royal kitchen, ensuring the king's food supply and quality. Ranbandagarika, officer in charge of arms and ammunition stores, managing weapons for the army. Mahanapati, commander of the infantry, overseeing foot soldiers in the military. Samanta, a subordinate ruler who acknowledged the supremacy of the Gupta emperor and paid tribute while retaining local autonomy. Bhupti or Desa, provinces, each governed by Kumaramatyas, provincial governors, with provincial councils. Pradesha Adhisthana Apatana, districts, smaller administrative divisions within provinces. Kutumbis and Mahataras, village-level officials, managing rural administration and tax collection. Nagarashresthin, chairman of city corporations, responsible for urban governance and trade regulations. Sarthavaha, representative of trading communities, promoting commerce and protecting merchant interests. Prathamakulika, representative of the artisan community, managing guilds of craftsmen and artisans. Prathamakayastha, representative of government officials, ensuring smooth administration and governance. Pustapala, junior record officers at the district level, responsible for maintaining administrative and land records. Brahmadaya, land grants given to Brahmins, either individually or collectively, often tax-free, to support religious and educational activities. Devagrahara or Devadana, land grants given to temples and monasteries for religious and charitable purposes. Nishka, Pala, gold coins used as currency in the Gupta period. Rupaka, Satmana, Pana, silver coins used for trade and transactions. Karkini, Kasharpan, copper coins, commonly used for daily exchanges. Kshetra, fertile land, suitable for agriculture. Kil, unfertile land, unsuitable for cultivation. Aprabhata, forested land, often left undisturbed or used for hunting and gathering. Vastu, habitable land, used for building settlements and houses. Kulika, chief architect, responsible for designing buildings, temples, and public structures. Kanchuki, head of the Queen's harem, overseeing security and administration of the royal women's quarters. Types of taxes levied under the Gupta period. The Gupta administration maintained a well-structured taxation system that included taxes on agriculture, trade, land, and special services. Many of these taxes were collected in both cash and kind. Kalpita Upkilpta, sales tax and purchase tax on goods bought and sold. Halavaka Haladanda, tax on ploughing, imposed on farmers based on agricultural land usage. Bali, an additional oppressive tax imposed on the common people. Prataya, toll tax, charged on goods and travelers using roads. Pog, king's share of agricultural produce, a major source of revenue. Boga, general tribute paid in kind, including gifts like flowers, wood, and fruits. Bhag or Bagka, a combination of Pog and Baga, representing general land revenue. Bhatta, police tax, collected to maintain law and order. Chat, security tax, likely imposed for protection services. Charasana, grazing tax, levied on cattle owners for using pasturelands. Hiranya, tax on special produce, collected in cash instead of kind. Udakabag, water tax, imposed for using irrigation facilities. Uparaka, general tax collected from all subjects, possibly an additional charge on landowners. Taradaya, tax on navigation, levied on traders using rivers and waterways. Rajju, tax for measuring land, possibly collected for land survey and maintenance. Savrishti, forced tax, likely an emergency tax imposed during crises. Badakbog, irrigation tax, collected for the use of government-managed water sources. Upanik, tax collected from border areas, possibly for trade regulation and security. The Sangam Age, c. 300 BCE, 300 CE. The Sangam Age refers to the period in South Indian history when Tamil literature flourished, and powerful kingdoms like the Chera, Chola, and Pandya dynasties ruled. The society was well organized, with a strong administrative system, taxation, military, and social customs. Trade, both inland and maritime, played a significant role in the economy. Key terms and meanings: Sangam, a college or assembly of literary figures, where poets and scholars gathered to compose and critique literature. Devalayam, temple, a place of worship. Ko, Monam, Ira Ivan, Koravan, Vendan, different terms used for the king. Vari, tax imposed on people. Variyar, tax collector, responsible for revenue collection. Korai, land tax, levied on agricultural produce. Puha, harbour area, crucial for maritime trade. Maharam, Supreme Court, the highest judicial authority. Irabu, offerings given to the king, possibly as tribute or tax. Avai, imperial court, where the king and his ministers held discussions. Upas, sacrificial posts, used in religious ceremonies. Punchvaram, ministerial council, advising the king on governance. Padai, army, responsible for the kingdom's defense. Enadi, Senapati, commander-in-chief of the army. Dutta, messenger, responsible for communication between officials and kingdoms. Ara, spies, gathering intelligence for the kingdom. Amachar, minister, assisting in administration and decision-making. Kalbu, marriage without parental permission and without customary rituals, a form of love marriage. Karpu, marriage with parental permission, following traditional customs. Pinch-tinal, love marriage, where partners choose each other without parental involvement. Kardsiya, title given to low-caste women. Para, big village, a major settlement. Sira, small village, a minor settlement. Murdu, old village, referring to ancient or long-established settlements. Salai, highway, main roads used for travel and trade. Muhi, cocktail, wine, an alcoholic drink consumed during feasts and gatherings. Kanigaicha, prostitutes, women engaged in sex work. Aniyars, hunters, people who depended on hunting for their livelihood. Belala, agriculturists, both rich and poor farmers engaged in cultivation. Pulain, rope makers, skilled in making ropes for agricultural and domestic use. Malva, thieves, known for their involvement in robbery and looting.